All right. So with that, we can get into topic 2, which is our review of the new EXO album, Obsession.
Yep.
Who's reading this?
No idea.
I guess I can.
Jacob, Cam, yeah.
All right. So starting off this album is the title track of the same name, Obsession. It's like a very hard-hitting like hip hop and R&B track. It's very much an EXO track. I really like the like pitched up like samples that they use throughout the track. I thought that was kind of cool. The vocal samples.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So cool.
The robotic effects they use in their voice in this track is also pretty interesting, and I think it's a much better choice over like the run-of-the-mill auto-tune that they definitely could have just used. The vocal breakdown in the bridge was also really great. Like Chen's vocals like just kill you every time, I feel like. So yeah, overall it's really good title track. I'd say it's not as catchy as other ones they've had in the past, but I think it's still like a really, really solid title track for this album.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. So I think like I don't hate the sample part, but I think it went too long in the intro. Like where it was just that going on its own.
You just got a little bored of it.
Yeah, like it just felt like I was like, just do something. Like, when is the song actually gonna start? Like, it just kept going. And then the robotic stuff that you talked about, it reminds me too much of Suju. It sounds very like Suju-ish.
Like old Suju. Like,
yeah,
like Sexy
it very
Free and
much
Single
does.
or like Bonamana or something.
Yeah. And so I was like, this is weird. And then like the part after that is really good. Like basically I enjoyed all the parts with actual singing. I think there's like really good harmonies and high parts. But I think overall it's just a little too busy for its own good, if that makes sense. There's just like
I
too
had that
much
complaint
going
about
on.
a different song.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just like I don't know. It's something that didn't do it for me. I really like the instrumentals. I like the really deep synths and bass for the instrumentals, but the vocals are just like, there's just too many different parts like stitched together. It felt a little disjointed for me.
Gotcha.
And then for the music video, like, I don't know, the concept is pretty much like, it's nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
The choreo's like nothing crazy. It was a little disappointing for such a like big group.
Yeah, so for me, obviously being the biggest EXO fan, this sound like Obsession actually took a bit in terms of like trying to grow on me, because at first I was just like,
too.
like I don't know if I liked it as much. I'd say sort of the crux of that is one, their vocal dynamics kind of different when you're missing, Xiumin and Dio, and I guess Lei.
Yeah.
I mean, to some degree, but I mean, Lei's too busy, prostrating before the overlords in mainland China. Free Hong Kong, revolution of our time. Anyway, yeah, so it sort of felt a bit different in terms of just like how the vocals sounded. Also, this definitely sort of is pushing their sound a bit, I feel, even more than like Tempo did. Also, I'd say the main part of what makes this song sort of like jarring at first is there's no traditional chorus. There's no real like hook to it. It sort of just like goes into like the chorus, and it sort of ends up like going back into verses, and there's not really anything too like identifiable of that nature. But I mean, I came around to it eventually just because of how good the vocals are, especially in that chorus, especially the harmonies and just like the back and forth of I don't think so. Like that part is really cool. I love the obviously I'm a huge fan of vocal chopping and sort of that sort of repeated sample, so I didn't find it all too grating. I'd say in terms of the choreography, it was really clean. I obviously I'm a huge fan of EXO choreography. I'd say, though, I'd have to agree with Nate that the MV, it has a nice visual aesthetic, but there's nothing really memorable about it. Whereas like with Tempo, like I could identify it immediately in terms of just like, I like their outfits or the color palette that they use, the contrast. This, I mean, the only thing I'd really recognize or remember about it is it's just really red and Kai's wearing a crop top, which looks incredible. Like that's the only thing that's really worth noting about this music video. But I still enjoy the choreography though.
So I definitely agree about it having to like grow on you. Like I think I had to listen to it like
I had to listen for like a week, basically.
two or three times before I really got it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall I think it's good. Whereas so tempo, I remember tempo I had to do the same thing. Like even up to the album review I wasn't totally sold on tempo, but now like it's just a great song at this point for me. So it's like sometimes it takes some growing on.
Even if it takes growing,
you don't always like understand a song on the first listen, so
that's why it makes sense. Yeah, especially with EXO, because EXO just started that trend of SMs really pushing, or I mean FX a bit, but EXO really sort of took the idea of SM putting like experimental music out there sort of to the mainstream. But it definitely. I mean, I still think to this day they really haven't had a bad like title track or single. In all honesty, so I'm happy.
All right.
Don't let Discord tell you that. Wolf.
Maybe. I mean, I've come around to it. I've come around to it.
Anyways,
to some degree.
Up next we have Trouble. So I didn't like the way the vocals sounded on this song at first, but like the pre-chorus I think is very vocally very well done. But despite that, I normally like a nice and like full mix on this song, but I think the beats on this one kind of make me feel claustrophobic when listening to this song. Like it just feels like I'm confined to like a very tight space that's full of like stuff everywhere, rather than
that's the opposite of the feeling I got.
Really?
I mean, I could understand, because are you talking like specifically about the chorus? Where it's just like,
if you're talking about the chorus,
the instrumentals just sort of kick in and that sort of thing. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. Like overall, I just feel like I don't have enough room to breathe on this. I think the regular like marching beat that they use throughout the song is nice, but like I said, like the mix is a little too crowded, I think, on this in a lot of parts. Also, I wish the song was a little bit more melodic in the choruses, and on the choruses, in the verses. It's not a bad track. I think it was just ended up being a mixed bag for me, I guess.
Yeah. So. I'm also not a huge fan of this one. I do like the intro. So the intro is where I got the opposite feeling. There's like a lot of echoing and effects that give it like a big open feeling. I think the pre-chorus, like you said, is awesome with the synths and the strings.
Yeah.
Like, that part's definitely my favorite part of the song. I think the drop chorus, like you said, though, is just kind of messy. It's weird. It's
a little too muddy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily bad, but it's just like they tried to do a lot of things where it's like off tempo or like off beat and like in like weird. It's just got like a weird tempo to it that it just feels just weird, like it. So it's hard to explain without listening to it, but I think the chorus is kind of a miss. But I think the rest of the song is better. It's still not one of my favorites though.
It took a while for me to come around to this though, but I eventually did, mostly just because I actually like the chorus though, because I mean I don't mind. I listen to some like really like sort of like muddy deep fried shit when it comes to like hip hop or whatever, so that's definitely sort of the sound they're going for here. It's also I could sort of see the similarities between a song like this and like Love Shot. Both have like very sort of like slow driving reggae inspired beats with a bit of EDM involved. So yeah, I think that's probably where I sort of found the like similarity and identity, or just where I found my enjoyment of it. I definitely enjoyed this song better than like the next one, and like in terms of, but I could see sort of them having very similar issues in terms of just being kind of all over the place and messy.
Yeah, coming up, this next track what frustrated me.
So
Jekyll's it's garbage. Called Jekyll. So it started off like really good, I thought. Like it was great until the chorus happened. Like the beat on the song I think is super fun. Like you can't help but like bop along to it. Like it also like the mix, it felt way better than the last track. Like sounds very huge and big, but also spacious. Gives you room to breathe. Like I was jamming until the chorus hit. Like legitimately, the obnoxious like yelling choruses really do nothing for me, and it's like turns me off. Also the cheesy like hip hop trope of like the gunshots in the background. It's like
I'm a sucker for those now. It's just funny now.
Yeah, I think this track had a lot of potential, but ended up just being a little too obnoxious for me. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the chiptune style instrumentals. I think it has a great like mysterious sci-fi feeling to it. And I think their vocals mix well, but then it drops into the NCT style shouting part, and I think it ruined the song. Like the rest of the song was very like chill and mysterious, and then it just gets really intense for no reason, and like I guess it fits the name of the song.
Yeah, that's what I was going
it's like
for.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, it's night and day basically.
Just because it's doing like they're trying to do this concept doesn't make it a good song or a good choice. Yeah. And I think it really, really ruined this song because the rest of the song is really good. But yeah, this was another miss for me. This album did not start out well for me.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the rest of it after this.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably like the worst song on the entire album for me, just because again, like I get what they're going for, but I mean, I feel like you can go if you're trying to do the whole Jekyll and Hyde concept. I feel like there's something more interesting than just doing like triplet. Like
yeah, they're just yelling. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it with other groups.
Let NCT do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it with other groups, but I feel like it's such a waste when you consider the sheer amount of vocal talent that EXO has. So, like, They do try to balance it out a bit with like sort of like the softer parts and the latter end of the chorus, but why not just make that the whole chorus then? It just seems like you can get that sort of like two-faced like night and day vibe without having to resort to just obnoxious like chanting and for someone that has a high tolerance for that kind of stuff at this point, even I found it grating. So
yeah,
that says something.
Sure. Up next, we're into the good part of the album.
Yes.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, up next is Groove. I put in all caps, much better. The light-sounding beats, like, they create, like, a nice sound that isn't too bloated, doesn't rely on annoying hip-hop tones. Hip-hop tropes, I mean. The strings that come in with the vocals are really nice. The chorus is really fun, danceable, and definitely, as the title suggests, makes you groove along to it. Mm-hmm. Baekhyun's ad-libs throughout the song I thought were really nice.
Oh my God. Yeah, this might be some of his best vocals in all honesty. Yeah, towards the end when he really starts going in.
Yeah. Some people might not like it, but I actually really like the robotic like vocal layering on Chanyeol's part. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the bridge with Chen's vocals and with the big, like, super full strings, again, was really awesome. I really love this track.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome at the beginning with, like, you could just get another, like, chill song with the minimalistic instrumentals. I love the beat that's just made up of, like, snare hits and, like, snaps. And then it just builds this awesome, like, funk track. And yeah, like you said, the vocals are really, really good. I think, once again, this is another song that, just like the last track, fits its name well, but in this case, it's a good thing.
Works. Yeah.
It literally says it's what the package says. Basically, it's literally groove. Like everything about the song is sexy. Like the chorus is super sexy. Like where that house beat really kicks in. The vocals are super sexy. There's like a sexy like flute instrumental towards the end. I'm just a sucker for anything that adds flute. Just much better. Yeah, in terms of it's what I expect in terms of quality from EXO. And again, I obviously love when they. Like, so the drawback of doing songs like Tempo or like Obsession is, again, they don't really get to showcase more of the vocal stuff, which is why I always like when they include tracks like this, so you could hear more of the nice vocal elements. And I guess going off of what you said, Jacob, like in terms of processing, usually I don't like it if you're sort of bastardizing EXO vocals, but I feel like it fits with the processing sort of fits with like the house vibe that the song has. So yeah, it didn't seem unnecessarily unnecessarily like there or gratuitous or whatever. It felt like it really helped us further the vibe the song had.
Yeah. All right. Up next we have Ya Ya Ya, which is a cover of the TRS song and MV.
No, not the MV, please.
I thought the sample they used in this was really awesome. Like the effects they used on it gave it a really nice texture, I thought. Kai's part in the beginning is like ever so slightly grating, but other than that, I think the song is like really, really catchy. The choir vocals that come in like during the chorus, I thought were a really nice touch as well. Yeah, it's a really fun song that like at first I wasn't totally sold on it, but on my like second listen of the album, it really clicked with me. And this is a really awesome track, I think.
Yeah, I it's nice, like it starts off with that like vocal sample. It's kind of reminiscent of like classic Motown, like classic like R&B style stuff. But yeah, I thought this was another song I really enjoyed. It's got another like great grooving style, and I think the hook is really catchy. It's easy to sing along with, and the rest of the vocals and instrumentals flow really well together. Also, I wanted to point out it really stood out to me was the instrumentals during the rap part. It gave it like an underwater feel, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so the song that they specifically sample for this is "You're the One" by SWV. They're like a 90s, R&B, female R&B type of group. So, both Ya 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 and Obsession, the title track, worked on the same team of Ryan Jun and like a bunch of other people, and Dem Joints did the sort of arrangement. So I was like, oh, it makes sense that why I like both songs, because they're some of the best people, or especially Ryan Jun. He makes awesome tracks, especially with EXO. I was not expecting EXO to do this like old school like 90s like boom bat like R&B type of track. Like this came out of left field for me, but they do it so well, just because it's this. I mean, there are other groups and other like artists in K-pop that have done songs like this. It's just, it's not. They definitely added their own twist to it, because it's not really like a strictly 90s R&B song. They have like a lot of the verses reminding me of like 2000s R&B, like stuff like that we are hearing like early 2000s that I grew up with, especially in terms of like the way that they're singing, like and you find it kind of grating with like how Kai's singing like the da 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 da. That's very 2000s, just like the vocal delivery. Yeah, so it uses a 90s sample, kind of sounds like 2000s hip-hop music, but still manages to sound very K-pop at the same time. Like it's that thing that K-pop does, where they manage to like mash all these different like eras and genres together, and somehow it doesn't turn out a flaming hot mess. I mean, it's magic, basically. This is easily my favorite track on the entire. I think I might like this better than Obsession, in all honesty. I really love this track. I'd love to see more of this from them.
Yeah. Speaking of favorite tracks on the album, this next one, Baby You Are, is probably my favorite on the album. I really, really like this one. First off the back, yes, guitar, please keep using it. The quick strums of the guitar like are really, really nice, and the vocal samples over top of it are like incredibly smooth. Like Chen and Baekhyun are like among K-pop's best vocalists, and that's really,
and they just so happen to be in the same group, which is insane.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and honestly, that's like a huge strength that SM has, is that they have really
Incredible
great vocalists,
yeah.
and that they're willing to put out like experimental tracks and styles on their albums, and they put out cohesive albums as well. Like, yeah. So. Yeah, the funky like strums of the guitars are super fun and catchy, and when the chorus kicks in, like the mix really fills out like so nicely. Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite song on the album. It's between this one and the next one.
Yep. Yeah, this is my favorite song on the album easily. It's awesome. It's like a weird hybrid of like 80s pop, synth pop, and then you get like early 2000s, late 90s acoustic pop mixed together, because the verses sound like something like NSYNC would put out, like acoustic pop from that era, but then the chorus happens and it just goes back a decade or two, and it just becomes like very 80s synthy awesomeness. It was really cool sounding, and it's definitely my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to be the odd one out here because I love the acoustic guitar part, but I felt it was a bit too jarring, just having that sort of complete change. I don't know if just having that sort of like synth drop kind of killed the momentum the song had going for me. I would have loved, like, maybe because when I heard the acoustic guitar, I was expecting, oh shit, they're gonna go like full Ed Sheeran on it, like just have like a really like interesting type of thing. So yeah, I guess it's just because it didn't go where I was expecting it to, and it didn't really, and where it did end up going, just sort of didn't end up being any better. So yeah, I wanted to like this song a lot more. Maybe that's why I ended up not liking it as much.
Yeah. Up next we have Nonstop, which is probably my second favorite. Yeah, as soon as this song started, I was like impressed by the instrumentation, and then like it starts off with like more of like a gentle piano, and then it just like goes in. The shouts that they start off with like aren't like annoying, like they were in trouble, which is good in my opinion at least. The guitar work on this is like really, really funky. So is the bass. I really like the trumpets that like come in as well. And Chanyeol and Sehun's rap section is probably the best on the whole album, I think, in this song. Yeah, close second to Baby You Are. A really, really good track.
Yep. Yeah, it's another awesome like retro style song. It gives me some shiny vibes with like the funk guitar and the harmonies they use.
Yep.
And then they had like the brass part, which was awesome. Vocalists are amazing on the song, as well as the rappers. And I thought there was a nice little like instrumental bridge too, that had like some really cool little like solos.
Yeah, so this was worked on by our friends over in Europe, Daniel Obi Klein, Charlie Taft, and Andreas Oberg. I could tell like immediately once I heard that guitar riff, is like, oh, that's Andreas. Yeah, and I mean, it's cool how they sort of went for like the 90s feel, but they're really going for like the 70s Motown disco feel with Nonstop. Go ahead.
Oh, I was like, that's what I was thinking as well. It's very like 70s pop, I guess. It like the the shouts remind me of like YMCA or something. Like that.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, just because so much disco has that like we got the funk, like that sort of like stuff, like basically just anything from back in the day. So it just they really nailed it to a T when it comes, and yeah, that's definitely their specialty. Just like throwback, like anything inspired by disco, anything inspired by like the R&B. So it's no surprise that they worked on this. But I mean, as good as the vocals are, I'm just a sucker for anything that kicks in with like trumpet sections, because it kind of I don't know, like the trumpet section here kind of reminds me of I don't know, like September, like by like Earth, Wind and Fire or something. Like it definitely calls back on like those classic disco songs or those like Motown songs that just sort of made the genre what it was. So this was easily my second favorite. Like it's just like this and Ya 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 are basically like 1A and 1B basically. Just if you had to put a gun to my head and say like which one I like better, it'd probably be Ya Ya Ya. But I mean, this song was just another. This is another song I that could easily be like single quality in terms of how good it is.
Oh, I would have loved this if this was the single.
Give us a music video. Awesome. Oh my god!
And make it like disco themed. The music video also.
Somebody needs to have like an afro or something.
Yeah, they need to make it look like a Bee Gees music video or something like that.
No, so basically, you could just do this music, or just do the music video for All Night by Girls' Generation just with EXO. Literally, you could just like swap it worked just as well.
Yeah.
Just have Kai doing the sexy dance that like Sooyoung does on stage. I'd pay money to see that. I'm sorry.
All right. Up next we have Day After Day. More guitar. Yes. Keep it coming. I live for this. Another vocal highlight on this menu. Menu. I don't know why I said menu.
Are you thinking of like Wendy's or something?
I don't know. I guess it's a menu of songs, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways. Another vocal highlight on this album. I think the vocal harmonies on this are really the standout for me. They're really, really nice. Not a ton for me to comment on specifically, because it's kind of just like ballady, slow, like R&B sort of song, but that's not a bad thing because it's really, really well done, and definitely shows off their vocal chops well.
Yep. Yeah, it's a nice acoustic pop song, ballady pop song. I think that the rap was a little more intense than it felt fit the rest of the song. But I think the vocals made up for it, and the layered vocals at the end were awesome. So yeah, overall I enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, I enjoy the song. It just I felt it became redundant after listening to the one that came after it. Just that I feel like they cover similar enough territory so that I ended up was like, oh, this one kind of feels like, you know, like second fiddle. I mean, yeah, the vocals on this are incredible, but yeah, I felt it did become less necessary after hearing Butterfly Effect. So
yeah. All right. Up next we have Butterfly Effect, which Andrew just mentioned. Yeah, keeping the like funky vibe of the latter half of the album. I think this song is a really catchy and like great song to end the album in. The vocals on this once again are really nice, and I wish EXO would have just stuck with the style they had for the latter half of the album rather than the like kind of hip hop focused stuff from the first half. I think it would have been much more cohesive, I guess, if they would have replaced Trouble and Jekyll with a couple more of like these sort of styled songs. And I think it would have made the album much more cohesive, and it probably would have ended up being one of my favorite albums of the year. But yeah, strong finish.
Yep. Yeah, I thought this is another great like funky style jam. I really love the vocal harmonies with the falsetto. Like it's layered with like falsetto and not falsetto throughout the song.
yeah,
And yeah, the instrumentals have like a nice like sci-fi feel to them. Yeah, I agree. It was a really good way to end the album.
This might be Chen's best vocal performance, at least for me. Just like 'cause he has a verse here that just really kills it on. Yeah, I maybe it's a bit more because it's a bit more upbeat than Day After Day, but again, I feel this sort of covers a similar territory of being a vocal showcase better than Day After Day did. Produced by London Noise, so obviously the frequent collaborators with EXO. And again, I always mention this every time we talk about London Noise produced tracks, but they do a good job of sort of balancing. You know, they tend to they do EDM songs very often, but they also are sort of chameleons in that the way they're able to adapt to like a London Noise song for EXO isn't the same as a London Noise song for Red Velvet or anyone else.
Yeah.
They do a good job of sort of like in this specific instance, they do a good job of sort of bringing that sort of like EDM, like sort of funk groove with the instrumentals while sort of combining it with kind of like what we got in like Nonstop, basically. So yeah, just a good sort of mix of what EXO has been doing and sort of what they've been doing. So yeah, this was a great way to like. This is an excellent track to in terms of placement and just both of like just great ending.
For sure. All right, I guess we can go into ratings. So for me, for music, I ended up giving it a 5.5 out of 7, just because I feel like the first half of the album, not the first half, like the first third or so.
2 or 3 songs, yeah.
I really like Obsession. It just took a little bit to click with me. And then Trouble and Jekyll have their problems, I guess, is what mainly like brings it down. But after that, we really get into the races, like where like we have highlights such as like Groove, Yeah, you know, Baby You Are Nonstop. Really, really good like middle portion of the album. Yeah, so overall, like, there's some, like, fantastic, like, really good, like, pristine songs, but I feel like just because of the weak parts on the album...
Not pristine.
I feel like just because of the weak parts of the album, it keeps it from being able to surpass their previous album, which was, like, I think, honestly, their best album today, honestly.
Yeah.
Don't Mess Up My Tempo. Either that or XOXO, because I really love that album as well. But yeah, this one's good. I think it's just kind of, I guess, either middle of the road or weaker side of EXO's discography. So yeah, 5.5 out of 7 for music. For the concept, I gave it a 2.5 out of 3 actually, because I thought the music, like, while it's not something that like reinvents the wheel or anything, I think it's still a a very, very clearly like well produced music video with really nice camera work, really nice color work, really nice like effects and stuff, like the scenes with the lasers, with the floating in the air, with the I think that I remember like a section where they're like lighting shit on fire. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It reminds me of like the Monster music video. I think it's comparable to that, which is very good. So, it actually, if I had to name another music video it reminded me of, it's for the NCTU. What the frick was it called again? Seventh Sense.
Yeah, it's pretty much like or almost a carbon copy of 7 Cents.
Yeah, so I really love that music video. I really like this music video. Yeah, like you guys said, the choreography isn't like anything crazy, so I didn't give it a 3. But yeah, 2.5 out of 3 for concept. So overall, I gave it a 8 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, I think I have the same issues as you with the music, except I also wasn't a huge fan of the single. But I actually gave it a higher score than you. But I gave it a 6 out of 7 for music because I really loved everything but the first 3 songs. And I was more harsh on the concept. So, but yeah, I didn't want to drop it too much for those first 3 songs, but because of how much I love the other ones. But then yeah, concept, I just gave them a 1.5. It just like nothing stood out to me really. It was like, it's okay. I think I just have higher expectations for a group as big as EXO.
EXO, yeah.
So it didn't really meet them. So I gave it a 7.5 total.
Okay.
So for me, I split it up with single and an album. So for single, I gave it 3 points out of a possible 3.5 because it was kind of teetering on the 2.5 to 3.5 area, but I did come around to it a lot towards the end. Again, it is kind of jarring at first, but once you sort of acclimatize yourself to the sound, it's really incredible. Album, I only gave 3 points out of 3.5 as well. It would have gotten a much higher score. Like really, that like everything from like groove onward is what's ended up saving it. Because like at Trouble, I did like Jackal was really brought it down. I mean, like I feel you could probably reduce this album by maybe like 2 or 3 tracks, and I feel it would be like having be like a tighter album, more concise, or it would it would have been an album of the year contender, at least for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like if they either replace those 2 tracks or just remove them and made it like a mini album, honestly, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
actually, I don't know. You could argue it's a full album.
I would say it wouldn't even be. You could argue it wouldn't even be a full.
Yeah,
album.
even like 7 tracks is a full album. But I mean,
that's the gray area.
Yeah, it's a gray area, but yeah,
isn't BTS like that?
Yeah, they do like full.
But that's a
albums
mini
like,
album.
Yeah, it's a mini.
I
don't know.
Is Persona a mini album?
Yeah, Uju Sonia was 7 songs, and they considered that a mini album.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I felt if they made it a lot more concise, I probably would have enjoyed it more because it did feel a bit bloated in some areas. Concepts, I'm still giving 2.5 out of 3 for just because again I love the choreography. Outfits look really good too. It's just sort of they didn't do anything all too interesting for in terms of music video, or at least to my expectation of what I expect from EXO music videos. So yeah, it only gets the half point off. So for me, that's an 8.5 out of 10. I gave the highest score, no surprise.
So average is 2 and 8.
Yeah, so average is 2 and 8. So a pretty good spot. It's not necessarily. I wouldn't call it the best, like boy group album of the year, necessarily. Yeah. I mean, it is solid in terms of like what is there. Yeah, it's just again, much like with BTS, we have just sort of super high expectations of a group of this caliber. So it's always it's hard to meet those, especially if especially if you consider the fact that this might be the last sort of major EXO album we get, because I'm sure like more like we're already missing Xiumin and Dio, and Lay's sort of doing his thing in China. So once more of them start entering the military, it's going to be hard to justify having entire EXO albums if like half the group's missing. So
yeah. Plus they do well solo, and they have Wavy and other things.
Super M.
Yeah, or Super M. That's what I meant.
In addition to having solos, yeah.
I was thinking about it. Have they ever released a mini album as a full group?
Yeah,
don't
they've
think they
released
have.
maybe like very rarely. Like most, if not, yeah, most of EXO's releases do tend to be full albums ever
Well,
since
EXO
like
EXO-K.
Yeah, actually, back when
did
they were
that.
back when they were still separating it by EXO-K and EXO-M, everything was mini
Yeah,
albums.
but as EXO as a whole, I don't think they have.
Yeah, pretty much ever since once they started like combining the group as one, basically ever since like 2013, 2014 onward, most everything was just like as a group basically. So yeah, I guess with that, yeah, just let us know what your thoughts are on EXO's Obsession. Do you like Obsession? Do you think it's weird? Do you like any of the tracks? I don't know. do you like the album as much as I did? Because I'm considering even as a big XOL as myself, I was kind of it didn't necessarily meet my full expectations. So let us know your thoughts in the comments.